New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo is bringing charges against Charles Schwab over its marketing of auction rate securities. And Schwab is going to fight. Our Margaret Popper joins us with more on the story. So, Margaret, what is Cuomo accusing Schwab of?
Well, Lori, basically the charges are, according to his press release, that Schwab told clients auction rate preferreds were short-term securities that were very liquid, easy to sell, and it didn't discuss the risks. And part of the problem here, of course, is that auction rate securities are longer-term securities that you can sell at auction periodically. But if you don't get the price that you want at auction, that's life. It's not like a money market. That's what Cuomo is saying. You shouldn't treat it like a near cash security. And so he's saying that Schwab really misled investors here, which is quite a serious charge.
What evidence does Cuomo have?
Well, he's got audio recordings of brokers talking to clients. And I'm just going to quote you some of the things that he pulled out in his letter. One Schwab broker, quote, guaranteed that his customer would be able to, quote, get out of his auction rate security on the auction date. Well, you can only get out of it if you get a price that you like. Another told a client that she needed to, quote, call me, and then the next month I'll stop the auction, and all the cash will come back to your account.
You're kidding.
Well, exactly. I mean, these are not things that you could say to clients about these securities because they're not true. So if, Cuomo really has these recordings, as he says he does, it's not looking great for Schwab.
And then Schwab isn't the only company Cuomo's targeting with allegations?
Well, he has targeted and settled with a bunch of companies. Remember that Fidelity and Ameritrade settled probes. They agreed to buy back $756 million of auction rate securities from clients. Citi, UBS, and Goldman agreed to buy back $50 billion worth of these securities. All of these in settlements. None of them were willing to go to the mat. Schwab may be the only one that is willing to fight it. And Schwab is basically saying we blame the banks. The banks that underwrote these securities didn't describe them to us properly. We didn't know what they were. Schwab also says that the Attorney General, having settled with these other guys, particularly UBS, Goldman, and Citigroup, is trying to shift the blame to Schwab because it let the bad guys off the hook. Now, what Cuomo is saying is Schwab didn't even train its brokers in these securities, cut them loose, let them sell this stuff to clients, and obviously, according to those audio accounts that I just quoted you, the brokers didn't know what they were talking about.
So it's worth it to Schwab to fight this rather than settle. If Schwab did settle, I know I'm probably putting you on the spot here, but is it fair to say they'd be in the hundreds of millions of dollars of buybacks?
Yes.
Okay.
And so they're fighting it obviously because of the money involved. On the other hand, reputation. On the other hand, it does sound like Cuomo has a pretty strong case, and you got to realize the way that this Attorney General has worked, he doesn't bring cases to court unless he thinks he's got a really, really good chance of winning. And unlike some other attorneys general that have used this office in the past, or prosecutors that have used their office to kind of, get things started, threaten enough to get to a settlement, and then back out. Right. He's willing to go to the mat on his side.
These auction rate securities have been so problematic the last year. Is it still a tool?
There's certainly, they can work. There's nothing nefarious about them, but you've got to understand how they do work and that they are not, in fact, liquid, as Attorney General Cuomo is pointing out here. It's not something that you can just turn into cash easily.
Margaret Popper, many thanks.